polyamorous mom when I was a child. And sometimes when I tell people that, they get very sad, which I don't understand. Because to me, your childhood is just your childhood, you know? I didn't really know mine was that different from anyone else's until I reflected on the number of stepdads. And I love my stepdads because they taught me that it really does take a village to make my mom come. You guys ever walk in on your parents wrestling and it's the Royal Rumble match? That's a bit different.
Welcome, Cameron. Welcome, Cameron. Like I appreciate you doing this. It's been amazing. It's been a whole lot of like wisdom. Like, oh my goodness, am I gonna get this done? Would I ever get you on? It's like it's a whole thing. And first off, I told myself if this was gonna happen, I will first off tell you incredibly thank you for this opportunity. Like the fact that we get to do this means so much to me. And it's the Super
Oh,
Bowl day. It
I
has to be
know
very
it.
crazy all over them. Like, come on. And you doing this, it's amazing. So, um,
That's
I,
very kind
I
of you.
love the fact that we get to do this on Super Bowl day. So now I know the event hasn't kicked off yet, but right now Seahawks, England, New England Patriots. Who are you picking? Who are you putting your money? You're a gambling man. Who are you putting your money right now?
Man, I'm not basing any of my sports knowledge on this at all. I will say just off of my own personal bias, I lived in Seattle in the past. I gotta go
Okay.
for the Seahawks. I spent a good
Oh
summer in
my.
Seattle. I like them a lot.
you know, I haven't. I'm not much of like a sports an NFL fan, but obviously, you know, because of WWE, the crossover, and obviously, I'm an avid listener and viewer of the Pivot podcast. Ryan Clark, Shannon Stark, Shannon, as it Shannon, and then was Freddie T. You know, I love that podcast so much. For 2 years, I have dabbled in that. I've watched every single episode. I That was where I got to know most of the NBA athletes, the NFL athletes. Sometimes we get WWE superstars on there. You have music stars and all. So most of my pop culture knowledge comes from that podcast. I watch. It's the way the three of them do it. It feels as if I'm listening to my three uncles or
Yeah,
my three
yeah,
big
yeah,
like
yeah.
you love. My favorite episode has to be the one they did with Mel Robbins, and the one that the man, I believe is a former NBA star. He literally was bawling his eyes, like because of just like the mental health aspect, the fact that he's been out from the game. Like they talked
Yeah.
about like, you know, people not reaching out because obviously you know they are stars, so you always feel they are fine, they are okay. And him talking about like the fact, and I felt like that was the first time somebody was talking to him and asking him like, "How are you doing?" So that
Yeah, like
was
a
where
human.
I
Yeah.
literally was like, oh my goodness, we don't get to acknowledge mental health. We don't get to acknowledge, like, okay, because you see me like this doesn't mean like I'm literally fine. I might be dealing with stuff, but still handling my life. That doesn't mean I'm totally okay. So just seeing sit there and talk and literally just ball his eyes out and like they were like, oh, we would be the ones we can talk to. We want to be there. And you felt that was genuine. I was like, shit, I'm subscribing. This is my job. I love
Yeah.
that so much.
It's pretty
Um,
powerful. Mental health's a big thing. And honestly, I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that it's not talked about more in wrestling spaces as well. Because I mean, I think more so now the schedule is probably pretty good on the boys. Not as many house shows and stuff like that. But god damn, I could only imagine like the I mean, fuck, going back to like 70s, 80s, 90s territories, 2000s when they were 10 shows a day in 2 days, fucking
oh,
trying to kill you when you were going out to the ring. Yeah, yeah, crazy.
that's a bit scary. Thankful that we got to sit down to do this because it's funny how you watch somebody on the screen and instantly just like, I wonder how this guy would be if I could get to converse with this person. Because immediately you walked in on during the Kill Tony episode, I was like, instantly. And Mary, you mentioned the Royal Rumble, the joke, and then you put the Royal Rumble stuff. I'm like, shit, this is my guy. Like instantly,
Yeah.
I've been watching Kill Tony for like the past year, and I don't know how I missed you being there the first time. So when this one came in, and I saw a lot of people coming there, like I've been watching these, the Madison Square Garden, all the episodes, the live ones, like I've watched all this. But like this was the very first time somebody caught my like I literally like, whoa, that's my guy. Like I paused the
Wow.
episode instantly. I'm not. This is not me trying to blow smoke off your ass.
No, I
I'm
mean,
as real
yeah.
I'm as real as possible. I paused the fucking episode. I wish my godmother was here. I paused the episode because she was hearing the episode from the house to the speaker and just loudly I'm laughing. Some jokes were too sensitive. I'm like lowering the volume. I'm like, oh shit, this going on might kick me out of this house because like this is what you're listening to while you're home. I'm like,
Yeah, for
but
sure. Yeah.
Tony, he's not supposed to be to for all the years, right? So I'm like, but but shit. So she kind of like, oh, what did that man say? I said, man, don't worry.
Oh, hey,
Don't worry,
thank you for the kind words, man, because that's very kind.
but
And
like sincerely speaking, man, when you came on and I'm like, you just walking, welcome Cameron Mai, and you came on and you said, doing your set, and then you threw the Rare Rumble joke in. I'm like, oh shit, is it? Like, when I'm like, oh, it's one of us, it's one of us, and then
yeah,
done with the set, and then you turn and you look and you saw who was it, like, wait, is that fucking Triple H? Your reaction was like,
yeah, yeah.
no way, this is my dude. I paused that shit. I got off to use my cell phone like, okay, so Cameron May on X. I couldn't find you on Twitter. I'm like, oh shit, it's not on Twitter. Okay,
Thank God I'm
Cameron May,
not on Twitter. Thank God.
Cameron May on Facebook. I'm like, shit, he ain't even on Facebook. How the fuck?
I'm not on anything except Instagram.
I'm like, Cameron May on Instagram. I'm saying like, oh shit, he's there. I'm looking so okay. I'm like, oh shit, oh my goodness. So how am I gonna reach out? And I'm like, okay, I followed. I make sure that I turn on all the from live session. Like, in case he has a live session that I'm opportunity I can join. Like literally, I need to get to connect with him, and I show the text. And luckily for me, I don't know maybe it was the next day or two. You reached out back. I'm like, oh shit, come on. Like, did he just did this my own rare moment? And I'm like. I could like even right now, see talking to you. I'm so like, if you told me while I was watching Kill Tony that day that I'll get to talk to the person that I connected more to, I would really tell you, get the fuck out of here. But thank you so much. Like this is lovely. I feel
Hey,
like
if you ever see anyone on Kill Tony, just know you can definitely do this with them. We're not we're not famous, we're not people, we're not hard to reach. I mean, maybe some of them, but that's very kind of you to say. I feel like, you know, I probably should be on Facebook and Twitter and other things because I have heard a lot of people share those sentiments with you where, I mean, it sounds a bit egotistical coming from me, but since you said it first, I feel like I can get away with it. Where it's like people are like, "Oh yeah, this guy's good, like actually a good comic, and not just somebody with some sort of." Because I mean, you can be Stardust or you can be Cody Rhodes. You know what I mean? And sometimes people get on the show and they act all crazy and they're like Stardust. But sometimes someone comes around and you're like, oh, this is a top guy. This is Cody. And I don't want to say that about myself, but you said it and I've seen other people say it too. And I think it's a very kind thing to say. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I can be something, but I'm not. It's a work in progress,
like you fight beyond the platform, keep to the platform. You try to be more and like you're putting in more work. Like you don't get to understand the work you do do outside that, but even greater than even being on that platform. So I'm like literally I fuck with that shit, and I mean thank you so very much for that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, thank you, bro. Like I said, I don't get a lot of people reaching out, so I appreciate that.
So okay. So right now, because when I'll try to make this uh, conversation and how to turn it to like parlay it into two, where I can produce it to come out as an episode of the Chronicle podcast and also produce it for wrestling content. I will see I can get to the editing will be crazy this time, but I love the fact that I get to challenge myself that well. But you got to talk about your mom, and obviously because this is where like wrestling comedy comes up, like comedy set also come like you can parlay it to be like wrestling too. So I was really interested in like, I know it was kind of like a chill way to get to laugh about it and all, but like literally, like if you could just take me through like your own childhood, like are you like the only child and talk about your mom and all your stepdads and all? I know you made a joke about it, we're just laughing and having fun. Like, I literally was curious about it, like I would literally want to know Cameron. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know if you could take me around, take me through the journey of Cameron.
I mean, it's not that crazy. It's a pretty normal childhood actually. Just a little different. I mean, for the most part, I grew up in California. Went to school and lived there my whole life. My mom and my dad got separated when I was maybe like 2 or 3 years old, and from that point I was living on dual custody. So every 2 weeks, or back then it was 1 week, but eventually it became 2 weeks, where I'd go to their place and then I go to the other parent's place. And too many pronouns, pal. I go to my mom's house and then I go to my dad's house. I'd go, and then eventually, maybe when I got a bit older, my mom did get into like stuff like burns and communities with polyamory in them, and I did have two stepdads at one point, and it was fine. I mean, I really the one thing my mom and my dad, in all fairness, were very good at was communication and just making things clear, like, hey, this may not be how everybody lives, but this is how we're doing it, and this is why, the capability, like, to love two people at the same time, which I think I resonate with as a man, because I mean, there's a lot of girls out there. I could see myself loving more than one. It's not so crazy. I understand that sentiment. And through that whole process, I think the two constants in my life the process of growing up was comedy and pro wrestling. My dad did run an independent promotion when I was a little boy, and my mom and my dad were both big comedy fans. So, like, from the day I was born, I was around wrestling. Like, I think if I wasn't doing stand-up, the reason I'm not doing wrestling is because I want to protect my brain and my body, right? I think if I could work forever, stand-up's one of those things where you never have to retire. Wrestling's one of those things where you see guys now, like, even people that are still really, really amazing, like an AJ Styles or a Jushin Thunder Liger or a John Cena, where, like, these people, they may not necessarily be done, but they have to retire early in order to preserve their bodies and their brains. Stand-up's one of those things where you can preserve your body and your brain, and you can work for a very long time. And I wanted to give that a shot before I just threw my fucking body away, because, you only get one. And I thought it would be nice to, and you got to think about it too, right? Because if those are my two dreams, doing stand-up comedy, I think, is very conducive to cutting a promo, just with my experience in the wrestling world and the comedy world. And I think even if I don't make it in comedy, I have a great base for what people would arguably say is one of the most important aspects of pro wrestling, which is your ability to communicate and connect with the audience. So being very young and being around a lot of the arts, I think, is what made me want to perform, because you see things when I was little in the wrestling business, like the camaraderie, the laughter, and that's what made me want to do comedy. Is I would think about when I was young and in the locker room, or even just on the school bus at school with my friends. What I really enjoyed about those scenarios and those situations was making people laugh. That's one of the best feelings in the world for me. I really enjoy that. So I think, you know, if I was gonna do wrestling, right? Because the part of it that I would enjoy is just that I'm doing wrestling. The part of it that I enjoy with comedy is that I'm doing comedy and I'm making people laugh. So I wanted to give that a shot first. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I got here.
You know, I really fucked with that, wanting to hear that. And I was like, personally, was so happy. So, meaning you are the only child that your parents have together, right?
Yes, my parents, and then I have a sister with a different father, but I am the only child between my mom and my dad. Yeah.
So, who are you with at the moment? Are you with the mom? Are you with the dad?
Oh, I live alone. I don't live alone. I have roommates, but I live in my own place. I don't live with my family. I
Or
have my own apartment right here, right outside. I'm looking at the skyscrapers of Austin downtown right now.
so, so when did you start staying on your
Well, I moved here in 2021, and I think yeah. Well, my mom had moved here to Austin during the pandemic because she wanted my sister to be able to go to school in person. And I understood that. So it sucked for a while because, you know, I was locked down. I was still in California, pretty rough lockdown rules and regulations. And I was with my dad at my dad's house the whole time. And I knew there was like a place where I could live more freely. So I came here, and I also knew that this is where comedy was happening. It wasn't happening the way it's happening here now. But I knew it
okay?
was going to happen because you hear people talk about it and what their plans were for the scene, right? So I decided, well, you know, this is one of my dreams. I'd done a few open mics in California. Excuse me. So I came here and I lived with my mom for maybe a year and a half, and then I moved out around 2022, maybe the beginning of 2023. And since then, yeah, I've been living on my own, and I think one of the big reasons I wanted to live on my own was just to become a more responsible person, right? Just because as a young person, the more responsibilities you're able to hold and maintain, the more I feel like you're able to grow as a person
Yes.
as well.
So, but you're pretty close with family then. Your mom, your dad, you hear from them, right?
Pardon? Could you ask that question again?
I'm like, you're pretty close with family right now. You get to hear from your mom and dad and all.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love my family so much. I was just hanging out with my mom on Friday, actually. We went and played some pool together. And then last weekend, I went up to Oklahoma to see my dad for a family function too. It's nice. I have a pretty good connection with my family. I'm gonna go back to California and see them in April. I love my family a lot. They're very great people. I love my sister. I love my stepdads. I love them all, you know.
That's crazy. I by by the way, I'm sure you mentioned your age on the show. So right now, sitting right now, talking to me, you are how old?
I'm 23 years old.
Oh shit. For you meaning you moved out pretty early, right? And I really fuck with that because I remember when I left home. My mom was still alive. A year before my mom died. I moved out from home. From a family of nine. That's
Wow,
crazy.
yeah.
Nine, and I'm the only kid for my mom had for my dad, and I had a twin who is late now. So I being the last of the nine, everybody had already moved on to the cities, kind of built themselves. Right now, they all have families. So I was like the only one up to the high school side of things here. I'm like, oh shit, I need to, if I'm gonna learn, I need to do this. I was already there. And I started building blocks. I saw the way she literally trained every other person. So I'm like, I'm gonna take all of these experiences and everything, still 9 years old, and go move in with my income parents. It was a crazy situation. My mom like needs to come back and fast forward almost a year later, my mom died. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm like shit. And I still feel so this is where I get to fight two battles where I'm like, maybe if I had not left home, I would have been there taking care of her. Maybe I would have figured out something. Maybe she'll still be with us right now. And that's what I mean. Like, oh shit, what if I would have still not gone and still been home, and and she's still like where would I have like the journey is not easy now. But I just really thought it would be way harder because it's like, okay, so you've never experienced almost almost 2 years of like you not being with your mom, right? And you just been on your trying to figure out things. And that has been a blessing and a curse at the same time where you get to fight so many battles, you try to do different jobs and sitting right down, see started a new job. Shit, this shouldn't let me. I would be able to sit down right now and talk to you since I did
Yeah.
the job. And I'm like, right now, this is not the time to because you are 23. I'm 26. So I'm
Right.
like, I don't really have that luxury in time to do whatever I have to do. Like right now, everything has to be as calculated as possible. Even the things that for that person, they're like, "Oh, why would you not do that?" I'm like, I can do that. Not saying I can't do that, but I can't do it because of I know what like it might affect a lot of things. So this is the time in my own life where I get to like I don't really my risk has to be as calculated as possible. So
Yeah, yeah.
I like I love communicating. I love talking. You know, how are you doing comedy? It's kind of like a promo. This is my own side of it. I love wrestling too, and I'm like, oh, if I ever get to want to be the wrestling business, I want to be like the analyst of things. I want to be doing the interviews. Being behind the scenes, working with the
Right.
crew.
Yeah.
That is where like, I'm seeing myself literally invading the writers' room. Literally just so like that is like where I would love to see myself. I would love to wrestle, but I'm not gonna do that. So it's more.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more of that. That's why like, I fuck with what McAfee is doing. Like seeing where his podcast was years ago and seeing where it is now. You're like, holy shit. So dabbling into podcasting in 2020 and seeing where it has gone now, and I'm like shit. So I literally loved listening to you and seeing you. And I'm like, if I ever got to talk to you, it was just to like ask those key things, and I love the fact that you were staying alone and all that. So I don't know. Since you're in Austin, so right now you're basically pursuing the comedy and trying to push the career in that aspect, right?
Yeah, I think you brought up some great points there. I mean, calculated risk is a hell of a thing. I mean, I've been taking a lot of those, right? And I can tell from your story you've taken a lot of those as well. And it's important. I think, if you just kind of stay where you're comfortable, you're not going to grow, right? You hear anybody that's ever been anything talk about how getting out of your comfort zone and taking a risk, even if it's something that you fail in, will make you better. I think that's a great point. I think that's really cool that you brought that up. And I think the gradual improvement aspect of what you're talking about as well, in terms of like you looking at where this was a year ago versus now, right? What about if you kept doing it 5 years from now? I mean, like you see a guy like Chris Van Vliet, right? A guy who does great interviews, right? But for a while, I
Yeah.
mean, he was just doing like movie things he wasn't really interested in, but he kept pursuing it and he was able to make it his own thing. So that's kind of the similar mindset I have here in Austin, where I don't take a risk unless I've weighed out the pros and the cons and why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And what is the purpose of the risk? What is the direction? What am I hoping to gain from it? I think that's all very pertinent information you brought up there, and I resonate with that a lot.
Uh, Amazing. So, all right. So, obviously, because I said we were going to pilot it into two podcasts as a whole. One of the things I personally, when I'm talking to people that I have the opportunity to talk on the podcast, is to get in their heads and understand because I understand what I'm about to say now is a part of life, right? So I'm like, it's different from for every person, and they tend to use it differently. When it gets to the wrong hands, it's crazy. When it gets in the good hands, it's still crazy at the same time. So I just wanted to ask you right now, talking to me, right? Um, what have you understood about money as a whole, and what are like the lessons and like the things you've gotten to learn? Never, okay, this is what money is all about. So, what have you understood about money right now?
Money is an interesting idea, I think, right? Because it's a it's a tender that represents the value of a goods or a service, but the value of a good or a service to you might be different to what I value it for, right? There are people that value I because I'm just trying to keep it all tied into this conversation we're having now. There's people that value the front row seat at WrestleMania for $15,000, right?
Right.
Crazy. But there was a time when me and my dad went to WrestleMania like 34, the one in New Orleans that was really bad.
The one
And
with
those
the best stage in history.
yeah, the floor seats there were $450. And you go and you look now and it's the same seat, but it's an entirely different price. Why is that? What changed about money? Money to me is a tool for freedom and living your life the way you want to, right? Because I mean, between you and me now, if I had, let's say, $1 million, what could I do with that money? How could I live? I could do so many things differently. I could travel. I could come to Africa and we could have this conversation in person if I had $1 million. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. So money for me, people because people think about it as this thing where it's like, oh, this is how I live. But but like this is how I become happy, right? I can live and be happy if I get this amount of money. And then they get that amount of money and maybe they can live, but they can't be happy. So money for me is not a tool for happiness. It's a tool it's like when you were playing an old SmackDown versus Raw or any video game, and there was something like there was something behind a lock screen, like something you couldn't like get, right? Like let's say it's a car. There's just a shadow of a car and you can't buy it because you don't have enough experience or the level or whatever. That's what money kind of is for me. Cause I can live and be happy, I think personally, in almost any kind of situation. And unfortunately, you need a certain amount to live, which it makes things hard. Like right now, currently, I have no job, and I have to work on getting a new one in order to keep sustaining how I'm living. Because I don't want to move back in with my parents. I don't want to do things like that. Because I've unlocked this level of my life where I can be without my family and support myself, buy my own groceries, and live my own life, all my bills, pretty much everything on my own. And that was unlocked through money. That's kind of how I view it. It's a tool more than anything.
Yeah, that, it's it's crazy how since like talking, we've had so many. You When I hear you say things, I'm like, oh, that's I can relate to that. Oh, I can fuck with that. That's similar. Right now, today, right now, we you have no job, I have no job, two jobs, but like the this is where it gets tricky for me because I'm like, it's kind of like a crazy situation where like people when you get to hear you say, oh, you have no job, and I'm like, oh, I just left the job. And it's crazy to some people like, wait, you left a paying job that could pay you this because you felt that it was not aligning with what you felt. Like, why does what you feel matter? It should be all about getting paid and getting up. Like the place I just left, I've had people work there for 13 years. People have been there for decades. And you see, for 2 weeks, I was telling me, oh, man, if you can play this well, you would, you get to love being here and all of that. And personally, I fought with that. I understand that. Like, I couldn't get to put myself in the position where I'm like, oh shit, like, I don't know how the past 13 years have been, why they've been there for 13 years. But like being there for 2 years, I'm like, I'm very sure I'm sure that I can't see myself being there for that long. And I'm
Yeah.
like, because it
Yeah.
doesn't
No, I
align
get it.
with where I want to go. And I'm like, so I'd rather leave early. So it's be crazy when they see me. I'm like, oh, shit, you got the job. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so, like, what else about like the fact that they say it's easier to become, it's easier to become rich now more than ever. Like, it's easier to, because it's maddening when you maybe go on social media or you see in your daily life people that like they do less than what these people that I just saw do, and the end twice triple as much. So the possibility is there. So it's just like putting the work in, and like, so what does that really look like for me? What does that look like for you? And it's as simple as understanding. Oh, I love this podcasting. I
Yeah.
understand what it
Yeah.
gets to get to. Position of like you have to earn from it and make money from it. So I'm like, to get there, there's a whole lot of sacrifice I need to do. And as crazy as it might sound, leaving this job is one of them. It's madness, but that's it. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not even helping me. I am not even right now. I can't even record. I can't even prepare for interviews. I can't even prepare for podcasts. I can't even do shows because all my hours is for this job. And it's either I let go of this or I let go of the job. I love this so much that this job.
Yeah. Never
So
let go of your dream, man. Never.
so that is where like I tend to want to talk about that. Like, so how do you like how does that come off to you when you come to a position where like, oh shit, I have no job, but I know if I could just, it's so crazy for me like when I get to like I get through the hard days just understanding me talking to you right now and then listen to you talk. I'm like, oh shit, I got to talk to him. Like I had him on like that won't be possible if I did not pursue this. So
Yeah.
these are like the things that it's not like so that gave you joy. Like yes, it did.
Yeah.
So I would want to believe that should be the same thing for you. And I just know like what you have to say about that.
I mean, here's what I think. I think in life, your happiness is paramount. I think that's a big rule you should have for yourself. And if something is, and that goes for anything, if something is not serving you, this goes for anything rather. If something is not serving you and it's not making you happy and you feel like you could be doing better elsewhere, don't be afraid to try it because you think that the situation that you're in is somehow more stable and more better. You will find a stable base always if you're trying. I think maintaining your happiness, that's why I do comedy, right? It's because I want to be happy when I work. And in order for me to be happy, I have to do something that I love. I didn't love my job. I loved what it provided for me. And you will always be able to find something that provides for you as long as you're willing to bust your ass and work hard for it. That's my personal opinion because that's been my personal experience. And that's what's been taught to me by people who had to bust their ass way harder and had to do way more, like my mom or my dad or people that really, really had to fucking struggle to get somewhere with it. Compared to me, I'm barely doing anything, especially now. Like, you know, there's always a perspective about how much better your life could be, but people rarely think about how much worse it could be. Like I had a pretty rough week this week, and I was journaling about it, writing because I write every day for comedy, and I was like, my life is still better than 85% of people on this planet. Like you have so much to be grateful for in life, and like pursuing your happiness is not something that a lot of people actually do get to do. So if you do get to do that, if you do get to chase something you're passionate about, that alone is an amazing ability. So I think, or an amazing privilege rather. So I think the ability to prioritize your dream is such a blessing that it's a shame to waste it. That's my opinion.
Amazing. It's amazing how you meet somebody and person it just feels like it's just in sync, right? You're like, oh my goodness, why did I meet you 5 years ago? 5 years ago, like I did I met you like 10 years ago, like she's like you just see someone like, oh shit, this would have been so much better. But in as much as I acknowledge that feeling, I always want to also be like, now I have the person, now the person is here. What can I do now? Like, how can I activate all of the what ifs? Oh, what if I go back 2 years ago? I know the friendship would have been crazy. Bro, you have the person now. So it's one of those ones where you have a lot of expectations. Oh, I wish we would be able to do and like expectations is just building and building and building. And I'm always very curious about expectation in any form, in a relationship shape or form, in relationship, friendship, relationship, love life, and all of that. And I'm always curious, like, are expectations a valid commodity or a valid choice in today's relationship in your own perspective? Do you think like I have an expectation like okay, so how I would because I would have wanted like, right now in just me and you talking like oh I wish this would be like the best and it's all up to me to at the end of this to be like was that or was that not? So maybe the parents and child relation, like your parents would not would expect you to be as successful, if not more successful than them. And
Right.
you love life relationship like I would want my partner to be, sincere, truthful, and not lying to me. And we will them in the house, like my friends. I would just hope we grow and be more valuable to ourselves as we move. So sometimes when things don't go the way we want, because of maybe the way we built the expectation, we are more or less being faulted for it. Like, how would you have, thought that should have been this way? You are not that person. Everyone is different. Like, so I'm always very curious. Like, should we always have expectation when it comes to relationship in the arc of relationship, or is it that we just totally eliminate? What is it for you? Is it having that, or you don't even put that in mind
I
when it
think
comes to relationship?
sometimes if you put your own expectations on what a relationship is or what you want it to be, or even past the relationship, right? Things in general, when you put expectations on it, you leave yourself room to be disappointed. Whereas if you are happy with what it is in the current moment and are enjoying that and are able to stay present, I think you will end up a happier person because you're not always grasping at this like idea that you have about what it could or should be. You know what I mean?
And that's true. For personal issue, I would want to know, like, obviously you're 23 now, you've been staying alone for a while, for years now, and I know you've learned so much, and some you're still learning. So, like, personally, like, what have you learned most about life, and what are you really, literally embracing about life at the moment? Right now, I want to know.
Change, man. Change is a super duper constant, and I think Evolution had that shirt, right? Like in 2014, it said adapt or perish. That's a real thing. You got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to bounce. You got to be willing to shake. You got to be willing to be able to evolve as a person in order to in order to live. That's what I think about life is you have to change. And sometimes change hurts. Change hurts so much. It hurts your whole body like a heartbreak. Like I lose my girlfriend. Oh fuck, this is the worst heartbreak ever, but the change and the person you become on the other side of it, you is mostly it should be good. It should be good. And if it's not, then you got to change and you got to figure out what you're doing wrong and you got to it's about it's that Bruce Lee quote, right? Being like water. You got to be like water, you got to adapt. You got to whatever container they try to hold you in, you can be contained in that. Like you can take any shape. You know what I mean? You can take any shape if you're willing to change.
I know, I love that so much because, seated here right now, it's just been a whole lot of changes. And sometimes I'm like, shit, like, is this how it one. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, I get to build again. And like the
Yeah.
constant, changing of okay, let's not do this, let's not try this. It's just it's been crazy. But I just like the fact that like we get to do this. And
Yeah.
well, so this has been like one of my favorite content because it's just like it's one that like I told myself like no scripting this. I'm not gonna sit down and draft it perfect. Okay, what are the perfect questions to go in? Like I just want to like go with the flow. And the ones I get to like go with the flow, the ones that I thought I was like, oh shit, that literally was the best one.
A polyamorous mom when I was a child, and sometimes when I tell people that, they get very sad, which I don't understand. Because to me, your childhood is just your childhood, you know? I didn't really know mine was that different from anyone else's until I reflected on the number of stepdads. And I love my stepdads because they taught me that it really does take a village to make my mom come. You guys ever walk in on your parents wrestling and it's the Royal Rumble match? That's a bit different. Sometimes when you you tell people stuff like that about yourself, they get curious. They want to know if you think it affected your sexuality today. I don't think so, because I'm in a long-term monogamous relationship with my bidet. We're going pretty strong. But I think it affected my sexuality like when I was growing up, you know, because trying to jerk off with more than two parents, it's like trying to assassinate the president today. Because, like, realistically speaking, there's no way they didn't see me on that roof. Yes, hello.